If you were to list the virtues that a family SUV should have, perhaps this new Palisade is the vehicle that has all the list. Of course, the price went up a bit.
I thought that the exterior design of the vehicle definitely looked more magnificent than when I saw it in this room at the new Car Association site last time. Compared to other vehicles, the size of this taillight is so large that presence seems to be more prominent. The front design definitely shows that it makes good use of this vertical and horizontal form. The Palisade grille has a horizontal shape, and the daylight has a new shape in harmony, giving it a magnificent appearance. Specifically, it definitely shows this overall design that is better organized and wonderful than the existing model, even when this very flat bonnet is driving.
Convenient.
There was a specific aspect, but I'll elaborate on that later.
Now,
in the case of a test drive vehicle, it is a calligraphy specification. Now 20-inch wheels have been applied.
Now the biggest?
The size appears significant when fitted with 20-inch wheels. Is it truly large?
Tires.
It's good, but if you think about it carefully, you should install 19-inch or 20-inch tires.
Would that be nice?
And if you go to the side of the car with these side mirrors, which are quite large, you see this straight line being emphasized. Along with the straight line is also shown at the bottom, so you can see the overall stable appearance from the side. And the size of this cottage glass is considerably larger than the previous model. When there is no tinting, you can see it very clearly for 3 years now. And just like that, you can see a good sense of openness indoors. The design of the rear lamp has changed into this form. As expected, you can see the vertical shape emphasized like the daylight on the front.
The curve.
Emphasized?
Appearances are also notable.
That'll work, right? In particular, when viewed from the rear, the curved shape of the rear door, and when viewed from the front, the shape of the daytime running lights and the front of the vehicle are connected, these things emphasize the smooth lines. And even though it is a very large vehicle, the size of the vehicle seems to be rather heavy. The test car is 2.5 petrol.
It's a turbo model. Is it a complex disease?
8-point vehicle system.
18 inches.
When the tires are installed and option specifications differ, the composite fee will rise to 9.7. The 2.5 petrol turbo model also shows quite excellent fuel consumption overall. This car is now a 7-seater model with ample loading space. One umbrella like this fits enough. It shows the double heat space, and there are all buttons on the back of the Jazz that can adjust the 3 heat. Both this and the third are controllable. If you press the May button at the top of this, you can fold this column and all 3 columns at once. Now you're looking at a form where the 3 rows are folded, and even this row is fused. With this column and 3 columns folded, you can see a very clean loading space. If the sheet folded with this column is pressed again for a long time, it neatly rises like this at once. I think these things will be a bit more comfortable to use. Now if you expand all the thermal spaces, it looks like this. Now that Lee Yeol is a 7-seater model, it has all the selling points now. Assuming that it will be used for up to 3 years, if you adjust the seat, there is still room for your knees. The buttons on the armrest side, these buttons control the heat and ventilation functions of the seat.
Okay, now let's take a look at Mayor Palisade's driving performance. Well, you must have received a lot of designs and seen a lot of indoor spaces through various videos. But in the end, the important thing is how well it runs, how comfortable it can be driven, and I think these parts will be the most important factors in determining the justice of this Palisade. Because many people are looking for a family SUV and many people are riding in it. Various functions are important, seat composition is important, but I think how comfortable it is for Juyong is also very important. Sadly, I don't think I will be able to sit in February because I'm driving alone. The first thing you notice when you get in the driver's seat is that the visibility is really good. First of all, the size of the front glass is very large. In particular, the position of this position is basically higher than the position of the basic seat position, so that even when it is lowered to the seat position, it can be seen to the end of this person. And the size of this side mill is also very large. So there is nothing very inconvenient about checking the rear seat. It is now a 3-year model. The rear view is bound to be limited, but now you can check the rear view quite clearly by setting up a digital room mirror. Because of these things, even though the size of the car is a bit large, it doesn't feel big to drive like that. Personally, I prefer a smaller car because I'm on the side of the road. There were many cases where large cars felt a bit frustrating and uncomfortable when driving in complicated cities. I thought that it would be uncomfortable for our country that the size of the Palisade and the size of the vehicle was longer than the previous generation, but once I sat down and drove, I don't think I can easily feel such anxiety. Now, I told you that there are 2 types of power trays, hybrid and then the regular low consumption turbo hybrid model is not yet available, not certified. So there is no official fuel available, but in the last new car announcement. He said that once it was filled, it would be possible to drive 1,000 kilometers. In order for the hybrid model to receive detergent benefits, some laws must show this efficiency. However, when you look at the size of the vehicle or this powertrain, it is probably not easy to exceed the threshold for receiving hybrid detergent benefits. So, in fact, the hybrid model is of course better in fuel efficiency than the gasoline turbo model, but it seems to have a little more merit in terms of performance, and in terms of subscription, well, the general 2.5 gasoline turbo model is cheaper than the hybrid model, so in terms of cost effectiveness, choosing the 2.5 gasoline turbo model does not seem to be such a bad choice. Now, while testing, I drove about 65 kilometers and the fuel consumption is about 6.7. Well, there are a lot of dual driving situations, so I didn't expect the fuel consumption to be that good. But it is a bit lower than the fuel consumption in terms of financial resources. Maybe if there are more seasonal layers, the fuel consumption figures will be a little better. Oh, I think the fuel consumption at the combined fuel consumption level, expressed like that, is a normal driving characteristic. The maximum output is 281 HP and the invitation scale is rather slightly higher than the hybrid model. However, due to the characteristics of this hybrid model in which the electric motor intervenes in the beginning, I think that the initial acceleration is probably similar or the hybrid model is a little better. This floor gasoline turbo model is not bad overall. Considering the size of the car, 281 horsepower is not enough. Basically, because it is a vehicle with a good experience, even when accelerating like now, the boom guy is filtered in to some extent. I don't think it's so loud. You can see a car that has a certain degree of refinement. However, if you want a quieter vehicle, it seems that it is better to choose this hybrid model with an active electric motor. The best part is this ride. This preview has been suspended. This preview comes with an electronic suspension and 20-inch fill and fill tires.
It's tied.
This car is also the one that is making a mistake. Even though it is equipped with 20-inch tires, the noise of playing is very well suppressed, which seems to be one of the important factors that will improve the sincerity. Now back to the feeling of riding. The feeling of riding is really good. Without being too soft, the size of the vehicle has become very large and the wheelbase has become longer, so there is much more access to the road. Because of these things, I think the car is very stable overall. Especially when the steward key is operated in a hurry, the left and right rolls are very well suppressed. Basically, even if you drive with the driving mode set to eco mode, you can't get the feeling that the vehicle is in a hurry at any moment, and the suspension of the vehicle is controlled according to the situation of the analects, and the suspension setting of the driving tracking of the tracking is looking for. Well, even if we don't explain this complicated mechanism, the driver can feel this way right away.
Romain's information,
To some extent, it is very pleasant for the driver.
creating a ride,
The part where there is. And the fact that it is not limited to 1 year's ride space for 1 year, but also extends to this row, and the third row seems to be a cosmetic advantage of Palisade now. A family with many people on board like this. What are SUVs called? Family sedans. In the past, there were often cases where the setting was too soft for the ride, but I think those things are now a thing of the past. Well, even if it's Hyundai cars of this class or the Shanghai brand Genesis, it seems that Hyundai Motor Group's vehicles, including Kia, have almost no flaws now. A really good ride shows.
yes.
And according to the speed of this, the part that holds the waist on this side of the seat also has these functions that hold the driver in case of rapid acceleration, such as acceleration in eco models and sports models. I think it's a more stable ride.
It's the same.
Currently, along with the previously introduced contents during the time difference presentation, there is another important feature to discuss, the Blue Link Store. Essentially, the Blue Link Store is Hyundai's version of an app store. It has been available since February this year. You can use this app store to download a variety of software applications for your vehicle.
Yes.
This car has an additional lighting function. The welcome light activates when you unlock the car with the ignition off. You can customize this welcome light with different patterns by downloading them from the store. Moreover, you can now subscribe to streaming music services like OTT directly through this store. It was a test drive of a 2.5 gasoline turbo model that was really difficult to choose shortcomings. Now, if this happens, it seems that the test drive of hybrid models with better performance and better efficiency will be waiting more and more. So far, it has been one Seonwong of Global Auto Service. I will also meet you through the talk. Thank you.